the mic. Yes. I grew up and went to school in primary in a rural village in Kenya with loving and firm parents. My father wanted me to excel in my academics. I was a vulnerable child. I was allergic to proteins. So my mother fed me on African indigenous vegetables like managu. And this led to my peers and friends to ridicule me. However, I was a talented child, obedient. I never wanted to do anything wrong in school or at home. Normally on Fridays, the mathematics teacher used to bring the results for the weekly tests. This particular Friday afternoon, as we sat in the class, silent, it was interrupted by a swing of the door opening and a tall man with a mustache walking into the room with a black trouser and a blue shirt. He was carrying test papers, and he was also carrying a bundle of eucalyptus canes for punishment. He moved to the front of the class and looked to the students, and he looked so serious. He was the mathematics teacher. He started reading the names of the pupils that have failed the exam. One by one, they were called, and they went to the front of the class and lay on the ground. I was the only one left sitting on my desk because I had passed the mathematics test. Then he took one of the eucalyptus canes and whipped the children one by one, very hard. You could just hear the sound of the cane. When he was done, he looked at me and walked steadily to where I was sitting. I shook like a leaf. And he whipped me on my back and said, "I never get a chance to whip you because you are always passing my exams." That evening, as I narrated the ordeal to my parents, my father looked at me and said, "Mary, always turn your challenges into opportunities. I'm going to talk to your teacher tomorrow." Now, as I went to my room that evening, I made 2 resolutions. I will always excel in everything I do, and I will always turn challenges into opportunities. I therefore excelled up to high school and chose to study agriculture. The decision that didn't go very well with my teachers and my father. I was summoned one day and was put to task to explain why I chose to do agriculture, which was a career for poor students. Now, remembering the struggles my mother went through to put food on the table, I was convinced that agriculture was my career and my profession. So I went ahead and did agriculture, loaded with a bachelor's and a master's in agricultural sciences. It was now time for me to do PhD. At this time, I was already married with 2 young children, and I was so much in a dilemma. I didn't know what to do. So when I went home, my husband gave me the support. He said, "Don't lose the opportunity." After my PhD in the UK, I came back and initiated African Indigenous Vegetables Working Group, a research project. Many of the development partners were not convinced, or they were reluctant to invest in indigenous vegetables because they believed they were just weeds. I frantically justified the hidden potential in African indigenous vegetables until we had a breakthrough. Now, in 2009, my project was chosen for a display in one of our agricultural research institutes. On this particular day, I woke up very early, and when I was given a table to display the vegetables. So I arranged my vegetables neatly and labeled them very clearly. As I finished the arrangement, people from all walks of life came by and looked at what we had displayed. In a moment, I saw a tall man in black with dark glasses approaching my table with a sniffer dog. And the dog sniffed at everything I was displaying. After a while, I looked and saw a beautiful white lady with a dark blue trouser suit. Beautiful, with her head held up, walking straight to my table. I gathered my strength and courage and looked up and welcomed her, the Secretary of State of the United States of America, Hillary Clinton. Here she was in front of me. Systematically and slowly, I explained each of the vegetables on display and gave her the nutritional content and the health benefits of these vegetables. She looked at me and smiled and said, "Excellent." And then after the photo session, she looked at her personal assistant and said, "We need these vegetables in America." As the entourage left, I looked in disbelief. Then I remembered my mathematics teacher. I also remembered the conversation I had with my parents on that Friday evening. But so clear in my mind was what Papa told me. It came out, it was as if he said it a day, just yesterday. And it was so clear, and it rang in my head. It said, "Mary, always turn your challenges into opportunities. And if you do this, the world will be a good place to live in." Thank you.